Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Bob Carpenter, President and CEO of GS1 US, and it is my distinct pleasure to welcome you to GS1 Connect 2017 here in Las Vegas. And you know, it's interesting, when I came into this incredible venue, and isn't this a great, great room? Fantastic. And Mark and I were talking, our production team, and he said, can you imagine being in here for like Bruno Mars or, you know, Ariana Grande? And I said, no way, we got Michael T. in the band. You know, we don't need those guys. So in any event, it's great to have everybody here and be such a great venue and the Cosmopolitan, and I hope everyone's having a good time as we get started. At GS1 US, you know, we talk a lot about having an important role as a neutral standards body. And we do a very key thing in that we bring all the stakeholders together to collaborate. And in fact, that's the theme of this year's GS1 Connect, collaborating for business excellence. And collaboration is the key to doing more together than any one of our companies could do on its own to address shared challenges and identify solutions. Connect 2017 is made possible through the generosity of our sponsors. We couldn't do it without them. And so I just want to take a moment to acknowledge and thank their support. And I ask you to join me in giving them a round of applause. Thank you. So I was getting ready to come out here this weekend, and I have a 15-year-old daughter. And I'm packing up my stuff, and she says, Dad, where are you going? And I tell her I'm going to Las Vegas, and we have this big user conference, and we're going to talk about standards. And she says, whoa, Dad, that sounds boring. And I said, all right, let me try that again. And let me position this for you in the context of content. And we're going to talk about how we manage content so that it appears on your phone or on your laptop or when you're at the store so that it's complete and you can find what you want and buy what you want. And she pauses and she looks at me and she says, that sounds pretty important. And that's the lens that I would encourage you all to take over the next couple days. What we're discussing right now in this retail environment, irrespective of industries, is very, very important. And so today, I'd like to focus on 5 topics that we believe are core to keeping up with the competition. Number 1, symptoms versus root causes, and the implications for how we manage content. 2, unique identity in the physical and the digital worlds, super important. 3rd, unified commerce as a critical battleground for retail right now. Number 4, something we call feel the heat and see the light. And we'll apply that as a view on safety and regulatory compliance. You'll like it, trust me. And then lastly, and finally, pie, like the pie we bake in an oven, as a metaphor for ecosystems that support standards as a platform. So first, symptoms versus root causes. To solve problems successfully, right, you have to go beyond superficial symptoms and uncover the deeper root cause. And focusing on the symptom of a problem can obscure the real cause. And that can lead to solutions that fail to correct the underlying condition. And too often we look for those quick fixes rather than taking on the harder job of finding that root cause. So we know that inaccurate data can result in poor consumer experiences. For example, when consumers can't find what they're searching for, or they receive the wrong product, style, color, or size. But more fundamentally, the question we need to be asking is, what's the root cause for some of those challenges in inaccurate data? Although we have enormous amounts of data, we don't always understand how to structure, govern, and share it so that it can be leveraged effectively. These shortcomings can arise when data is also siloed across our organization. And we really, really can't underestimate the impact of human behavior, the way we're organized, ambiguity about who controls the data, and internal decision-making. We have to address these content root causes, and they require enterprise-wide decisions affecting people, processes, technology, and governance. It's not easy. The bottom line, we've been talking about data quality for years, and we've now reached an inflection point. It's time to act. And companies that we work with that are really, really making progress on data quality or on managing their content are following the following success factors. They have established enterprise-wide content management as a top strategic priority, led by a C-suite executive. They are confronting company-wide implications regarding organization, data governance, and technology. Many of them have appointed a data czar, someone who reports directly to a C-suite leader and who has undisputed credentials and credibility, and subject matter expertise. And lastly, they have established strong program management, helping them start small, avoid boiling the ocean, and establishing strong business benefits, and importantly, keeping senior management engaged. So rather than bad data, we've talked a lot about the need for smart data. But many people say, what makes data smart? And in our view, smart data is accurate, complete, linkable, and shareable. Smart data is also structured to flow through our information ecosystems for all our trading partners. And smart data isn't just for consumers making purchase decisions. Companies need smart data to work when they're optimizing business processes, like product fulfillment, and regulators need smart data to help protect public safety, like ingredient information. Decisions regarding content creation, governance, storage, and distribution are pretty tough, but absolutely necessary for us to create smart data. And these decisions are only possible at scale when we leverage GS1 standards so that we can compete on data insights and not have to compete on just assembling and making the data available. Smart data is 100% contingent upon unique identification, making it possible to link the right product information with the right product. And it all starts with establishing a product's identity. And that identity has to be unique and descriptive for the consumer, the trading partner, and the regulator. After all, your product identity is really no different than your personal identity. And at its core, GS1 US is a unique identification company. Our role is to assign a unique identifier to every product that points to a wide range of standard product attributes that are accurate and complete. And we have been doing this on behalf of 25 different industries for over 40 years. We work with third-party content service providers to leverage our unique identification system for the benefit of their industry stakeholders and the consumer. This creates an ecosystem to access that information, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So, unique identification allows you to do helping consumers find exactly what they're searching for to enhance brand loyalty. It enables seamless consumer experiences, transparency, and trust. It supports authentication to guard against brands being counterfeited. And it delivers an ever-increasing level of personalization to the consumer, especially in the digital world where now everything is personal. So let me expand a little bit on personalization, because this is really a mega trend that we see continuing in retail and many different industries. Technology now gives us the ability to predict what the consumer is going to purchase next. So the field of predictive analytics is really, really hot right now. And it hinges on identifying accurately not just the product, but all the attributes around that product. And all of those data points are essential to making an accurate prediction for a consumer's next purchase. But none of it works without unique identification at the source. Here's why. In a hyper-connected world, identity and authentication are absolutely foundational requirements, have to be there. And for this type of connectivity to work, attributes must be shared with the highest level expectations of quality and completeness, not to mention privacy and security. And what happens if you don't get identification right? Simply put, you won't be able to participate in a future where the majority of new growth will be tied to e-commerce and new digital technologies. In fact, a recent FMI and Nielsen study identified that by 2025, over 20% of online grocery spending will be now online, representing about $100 billion of incremental annual sales. You also won't be able to participate in new technologies like image recognition, DW code watermarks, augmented reality, virtual reality, and the Internet of Things. Look, we know you have many, many competing priorities. It's a challenging time in business right now. But unique identification in particular has never been more important and relevant. And getting unique identification right means pivoting from data as a transactional cost of doing business to data as a strategic investment in your business. Investment in your business, data, it's that important. So smart data also enables us to really deliver unified commerce, or what many are still referring to as omnichannel. And the gap between industry capability versus consumer expectations remains pretty broad right now. Retailers are asking suppliers for more detailed product content. And that's because 87% of consumers rate product content very important for their purchase decisions. And 50% of consumers have returned a product they bought online because it didn't match that online product description. Online and in-store must be a seamless experience. However, we know only 7% of marketers can actually deliver real-time, data-driven engagements across physical and digital dimensions. So we definitely have some work to do. GS1 US, along with industry, has been heavily focused on implementing RFID to track inventory across locations and channels. And research from Auburn University's RFID lab found that item tagging delivers an 80% improvement in shipping and picking accuracy and a 90% improvement in receiving time. Inventory accuracy is important to enable click and collect and dynamic order fulfillment, two key capabilities for unified commerce in retail. What's also important is using a GTIN in online product listings to improve search results, impressions, clicks, and conversions. In fact, Google has realized a 40% increase in impressions and a 20% lift in conversion rates on items listed with GTINs. That's why other major online retailers, like Amazon, are asking brand owners to provide a GTIN as a mandatory requirement before they list their items on their marketplace. All these efforts help to close the gap between a physical and a digital experience to deliver that unified commerce as a goal. Today, as GS1 US, we're no longer distinguishing between B2B and B2C. And from our perspective, it's just commerce. And it requires rich product content that is both structured and descriptive. So look, smart data isn't just about online purchases. Consumers and regulators are demanding more product information for public safety and compliance. We are in a new period. What we see right now is a period where we're moving from compliance to commitment. And at first, these two concepts may seem a bit diametrically opposed, but they actually work best when they're combined. A recent article I read talked about this concept of feel the heat, see the light. And it basically refers to the fact that until people can see the light, all they're going to feel is the heat. So let me put it in the context of a simple example here. Think about seatbelts, right? You don't buckle up your children in their seatbelts to avoid getting a ticket. That would be the heat. You do it to make sure that they're safe, and that would be the light. It's the difference between doing what you have to do versus being purposeful. And businesses are increasingly seeing the merits of regulations to promote transparency and trust with consumers, representing proactive commitment versus reluctant compliance. Said another way, not just doing the right thing, but doing the right thing for the right reasons. And that's true leadership. By implementing GS1 standards based on unique identification of products, companies are improving traceability processes to meet regulatory requirements while also enhancing their enterprise risk management capabilities. For example, today's healthcare organizations are expecting to deliver the highest level of patient care and safety while lowering cost, increasing efficiencies, and integrating new technology, all while simultaneously adapting to new regulation, legislation, and other key themes that are happening in the industry. In response, the FDA has now instituted regulation requiring the use of GS1 standards for medical devices and pharmaceuticals. And in the food industry, we're seeing major transformation being driven by three primary things: soaring consumer expectations for product information transparency, renewed focus on food safety sparked by major food recalls, and a host of new laws, including labeling, GMO, the Food Safety Modernization Act, and changes to the Nutrition Facts Panel. We are proud, very proud, to be working with industries and regulators to drive the use of open global standards that make this possible. So, we've talked about symptoms and root causes, and how smart data flows from unique identification to enable commerce, public safety, and compliance. Let's pull it all together with our final topic: emerging platforms and ecosystems. So again, I'm going to try to keep this simple. I want you to think of standards as a platform in the terms of a metaphor, pie, like the pie we put in the oven, right? And everyone loves pie, And who doesn't want more pie, right? But rather than carving out bigger slices of the pie, platforms enable us to enlarge the size of the pie so that everyone benefits from scale, capabilities, and efficiencies. Let me explain further. We know that technology is fundamentally changing the pathways to purchase. Think Google Home, Apple Siri, Amazon Echo. Major forces are converging and reshaping our world. Cloud, voice and image rec, augmented and virtual reality, artificial intelligence, blockchain, Internet of Things. But what you may not realize is why GS1 US is foundational to these technologies being successful for you, the industry. Simply because none of it works without standards. Standards are at the heart of our ecosystem to ensure that these various technologies scale globally, interoperate technically, and openly share while preserving privacy. At last year's Connect, we talked a bit about standards as a platform. Companies like Uber, Airbnb, and YouTube that bring producers and consumers together in what we termed a two-sided market. And any platform is 100% dependent on the ecosystem around it. And we see that the ecosystems are constantly changing based on new technology. But the one constant that industry can rely on is the importance of identity. Without strong identity in the physical and the digital world, platforms and ecosystems are significantly compromised. So if you're not leveraging platforms, you're falling behind. And the platform and partnerships allow you to move a lot faster and with scale. So let's take a look at GS1 US Data Hub as a platform. Launched last year to help businesses of all sizes implement GS1 standards. Data about your products, companies, and locations come together in a single solution so that you can identify, create, manage, view, use, and verify a majority of your product data. And right now, here are the stats. Our industry is creating over 17,000 GTINs every single day in Data Hub. And there are 16 million GTINs already in the Data Hub tool and obviously growing very, very quickly. So when it comes to identity, we want everyone to be using the same platform. And in our case, that's GS1 standards. So let's go back to pie. We all represent a slice of that pie, some bigger, some smaller. And we have some choices to make. Option one, we can choose not to collaborate, work in isolation, and stay focused on our individual slice of pie. Or alternatively, we can choose collaboration, pool our slices together so that we can create a much, much bigger pie that benefits all. These are complex times, we get it, and we're now part of a sharing platform-based economy that requires new, open, and collaborative behaviors to make it work. In fact, a recent article described collaboration as the new competitive advantage, the continuation of the term coopetition, right? And we can shape and participate in ecosystems of technology, talent, and information that allow us all to play bigger than we could ever play on our own. Collaborate and compete. Platforms are also important for businesses of any size. And since last year, we've had an opportunity to talk to many businesses, particularly the smaller to mid-size enterprises. And here's what we heard from them. They were very clear. They need help with retailer readiness, both physical and digital. They need help with content and image syndication so that they can get rid of management by spreadsheet. And they need help getting noticed by the right companies to grow their businesses. And this year, we acted on this insight and built our Certified Content Provider Program, or CCP, to provide additional resources, particularly for our small to mid-size enterprises, and also to increase the value for our partners in the ecosystem. Certified content providers will help businesses and to get their products on both the digital and physical shelves fast. And we believe this is an important evolution in our standards as a platform approach for industry. Tomorrow afternoon, session number 607 on Wednesday, will provide a bit more detail on our Certified Content Provider Program, so I really urge you to check that out. So listen, this is a critical time for us to think and importantly act differently, to distinguish between symptoms and root causes, to focus on unique identification as a strategic investment across our entire enterprise, to solve our shared challenges, including unified commerce, product safety, and regulatory compliance, and to leverage platforms so that we can address these challenges with speed. We are all experiencing make or break moments that dictate whether our organizations can remain relevant or face extinction. And we believe that by addressing some of these challenges together, we can deliver global scale that helps to reduce cost and complexity and promote open interoperability across technologies and platforms to enable consumer use cases and, importantly, accelerate growth. When we do that, working together, we can then concentrate our energy on areas of sustainable competitive advantage, which is something I think we all can agree on. So I want to thank you for being here with us this week in Las Vegas.